I'm Betty. Welcome to my kitchen.
We have a lovely new store here in town called the Wolfgang. And what it is a bakery, believe it or not, for dogs, and a grooming facility. And I recently took Molly there for a grooming, and a lovely job they did. But they gave her some pumpkin cookie treats, and she absolutely loved them. So I thought, what fun to be able to bake them for her at home. And it's the recipe I'm going to share with you today. So the ingredients are quite simple. I've got 2 eggs, half a cup of pumpkin puree, 2½ cups of whole wheat flour, 2 tablespoons of powdered milk, and I've got some chicken broth just in case I need a little more liquid to make the dough workable. And you don't need any tools to do this. As you can see, we're going to end up kneading it by hand. So all I'm going to do is mix. First, I'm going to mix the pumpkin and the eggs. Just get that in there and then give it a quick stir. And get that nicely combined. Just whisk it until it's smooth. And then I'll add the powdered milk. And the flour. I'm going to add most of it. But as you'll see, the last part I'm going to have to knead in by hand because it really is a very stiff dough. And once we get it all done, we're going to roll it out and cut out shapes and bake it off. And I hope it's something, if you try it, that your pets will enjoy as much as our Molly does. Just want to get all this dough out so I can get it mixed. I have another dog recipe that I want to try that I got from our lovely veterinarian, Dr. Tack. And that one has applesauce and peanut butter in it. And I suspect Molly's going to love that too, since she happens to be very fond of peanut butter. But that's for next time. This week it's pumpkin cookies, just in time for fall. And it just brought to mind a memory. We keep Molly's cookies in a regular cookie jar. And we used to have a neighbor who had quite an appetite. And when he came to visit, nothing edible in your kitchen was safe, or drinkable too, I might add. And one day, we caught him dipping into the cookie jar. Of course, what he didn't know was they were dog biscuits in there, but he seemed to enjoy them anyway. These, I would have no qualms about him eating. I don't know how good they would taste, but certainly nothing in them that would harm anyone. Dump the rest of this in and mix it as well as I can before I turn it out. Now what I'll do is just start sort of kneading this in the bowl. See how much of this flour I can get incorporated. It's a little sticky, but kind of thing kids might enjoy making too if they have a pet. All right, so rather than pour any of this chicken broth in, all I'm going to do is just dip my fingers in to add a little liquid. See if I can't get the rest of that flour in there. Okay, we'll turn it out onto the board. Bowl. And I'll just start kneading pretty much the way you do with bread dough. Of course, if this were a cookie that we were going to eat, this is the last thing we'd want to do to it, is knead it, because it develops the gluten and makes for a tough cookie. But for a dog cookie, that's not bad because it adds to the chewiness. Now that I have the dough kneaded, I've cut it in half and I'm ready to roll, and I'm going to do it between 2 sheets of wax paper because even though it's very stiff, it's still quite a sticky dough. And on my rolling pin, I've attached these rubber rings, which will allow me to roll it exactly to a 1/4 inch thickness, which is what I want. These rings come in a set of various sizes, and they're really handy. They give a really professional, even look to any cookie any rollout cookie that you're baking. Top this with my wax paper and start to roll. And just get it to that nice 1/4 inch thickness. I'm going to be using a very small cookie because Molly's a very small dog and she can't handle anything too big. But of course you can use whatever size is going to work for your pet. I did see a set the other day that was really cute it was a dog bone and a paw and I forget something else, but unfortunately all of them were going to be way too big for Miss Molly to handle. So we're just going to use a little round cutter for her. And there we go, that just about does it. And once you've got it rolled out, what you want to do is peel back the wax paper and then flip it over and take off the other side. Now you can reuse this wax paper once more. It doesn't work much more than that because it does get too sticky. I'm just going to start stamping these out. And this is going to make, because of the size cutter that I'm using, it's going to make about 7 dozen cookies, which should last Miss Molly quite a long time. And once I get them all cut out, I'll put them on a parchment-lined baking sheet and bake them at 350. And I'll bake them for 20 minutes on one side and then flip them and give them another 20 minutes on the other side. And of course you can re-roll the scraps as often as you'd like. If it's slightly sticky underneath, just take an offset spatula and release them. They don't spread at all, so when you put them on your cookie sheet, they can be fairly close together. What I'll do is I will roll out the other half of my dough, and then once I've cut those out, I'll combine the scraps and roll that. So here are our pumpkin dog cookies all ready to go in the oven. They're going to go in for 20 minutes. I'll take them out, flip them over, and bake them for another 20 minutes. At 350. The cookies have baked for their first 20 minutes, and I've taken them out, and I'm just going to flip them over. Even though they're just out of the oven, really, they're quite manageable to just do with your fingers. And it really is the fastest way to do this chore. So once I've done this, an additional 20 minutes, and we'll be done. There we are. So back in for their final bake. Molly's cookies are all done, but she is going to have to wait until they cool off before she can have some. I hope your pup will enjoy them as much as she does.